Cool. Luke, we're back at Two for One Joe. It is Monday, 9 a.m., February 21st, 2022, and we got some exciting things on the docket today. It's just going to be you and me, so I hope that's okay with you. Hope you can bear with
Sure.
just me. How was your weekend?
Solid. Yesterday was my birthday, so
Oh, dude,
another year
I'm
around the
so
sun.
sorry. I didn't even know. Happy birthday, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. What'd you do? Anything
So,
cool?
yeah, I went to movie tavern, watched The Cursed.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Okay, I saw your post about that. Yeah.
yeah,
How
yeah,
was
yeah.
it?
So I really enjoyed it. It was one I was looking forward to. Premiered at Sundance last year, so this was on my bucket list.
Oh, wow. Who's in that? Was it Is it Jessica Chestnut? The girl from
No,
Yellowstone? Is she in that?
I've not seen Yellowstone.
Oh, okay. Let me look real quick. Let's
Um,
look. Let's see. The Cursed, starring Kelly Riley, I think is her name. Yep, it's her from Yellowstone.
yeah,
Cool, cool, cool.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
She's in.
I've seen
She's
the
in there.
trailer.
Boyd Holbrook. I'm a big fan
Yeah,
of him. It's
yeah.
weird
No,
too because the original name for this movie was Eight for Silver, so I always want to call it that because I just think it's a cooler name.
Ape for Silver.
Yeah,
Wow, that is an interesting name. It's definitely one
yeah,
of those situations where that was the on the script, and then the studio was
hmm
like, we can't sell it that way. No one will know what it's a horror movie or whatever.
yeah. I mean, you do get the reference because it's actually like it's a children's it's like a children's rhyme or it's part of a children's like
Oh,
jump rope game, and so like you do get that reference in the movie, but I think it's cooler. I mean, I don't know. There's so many other films called The Curse, so it's kind of blends in.
true. Yeah, I
But
mean,
overall, like, yeah, I liked it. It's good.
that's awesome. Yeah, no, it was pretty stylistic in terms of its shot design and everything else. I remember seeing the trailer. I'm like, oh man, I need to watch that. That's one fear that me and Daniel always have as we're writing our features, is
hmm
that we have a title for a movie, and it's just going to be some stupid, generic, dumbass title by the time people get to watch the movie. So it's always a fear, but it's part of the game, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's start to get into our first topics here, and this is kind of pertinent to us, I think, particularly. Um, I'm pretty sure. Did you watch the? I watched your review for Uncharted this weekend. You see Uncharted, right?
Yeah, I caught an early show for Uncharted.
The Cinemark.
So I put a first
Hmm.
reaction out for that. I watched other movies this weekend as well. So I've got like four I'm going to talk about on a video coming up soon.
Okay. Okay.
But
Well,
yeah, I liked Uncharted.
well, yeah. So I saw it at the Cinemark as well, the same Cinemark you were at. I went to Conway to watch it. So yeah, the first story of the week, the top three of the box office was Uncharted with
Mhm.
$44.2 million, Dog with 15.1, and then Spider-Man: No Way Home, again number three, with $7.7 million. Um, yeah, I mean that's a pretty solid start for Uncharted. I mean specifically because the time of the year we're in, February, right?
Yeah,
And also it's kind of indicative of Tom Holland's star power here. I mean, he's coming off of Spider-Man, and that thing's
right.
been playing for like 10 weeks now, and people aren't necessarily that tired of him. I mean, he's number
Yeah,
one and number three at the box office, and he's only 25, I think. So I think
yeah.
he's got a pretty good lucrative career. Yeah, no, Uncharted. So I think I remember correctly. You don't have a huge tie to the video games, correct?
Correct. I have one of the games, and
Okay,
I should have went and looked. I can't remember if it's the first or the second. I think I got it free when I bought like my PlayStation 3 back in the
gotcha,
day. I think it came with Uncharted for free, or I got it free.
gotcha.
Um,
Okay. Well, I if someone put a gun to my head and said, "What's
mhm.
your favorite video game franchise?" My mouth might spurt out Uncharted. It's a possibility
Okay.
that could happen. So I'm a huge fan of the franchise, and I was very excited when they announced the movie was coming out. I was a little less excited when they announced Mark Wahlberg as Nathan Drake, and then I got even a little less excited when they announced Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, and then Mark Wahlberg as Victor Sullivan. So
Mhm.
I'm always here for all the IPs that I love and all the
Mhm.
universes and all that kind of thing. And I don't ever want a movie to be bad. And I'm really always hoping they really surprise me and be good. And I watched the movie and it was fine. It was a okay little adventure flick. I think it's missing some of the awe and wonder that some of these
Mhm.
treasure hunting movies have. I mean, I really liked Jungle Cruise last year.
Mhm.
a lot, and I love that swashbuckling like aspect of it, like that Indiana
Yeah.
Jones has, that like even Pirates of the Caribbean has, and I think treasure hunting movies specifically really need that kind of thing. And so I was kind of missing that a little, and
Hmm.
um, I mean, I bought it or bought the ticket. I'm going to buy the movie when it comes out just to support it because because that's
Yeah.
how I am. Even if I don't like it, I'll probably buy it sometimes. But anyway, it made $44.2 million, which is a pretty solid start, especially
Yeah.
for the time we're in, and it's pretty amazing. Okay, story number two about the Batman. Here's the thing: we're gonna talk about the Batman a lot, Luke, until the movie comes out, and we'll probably talk about it a little bit after that, and then even more after that because it's the
Of
goddamn
course.
Batman, right?
It's
Um,
Batman. I mean,
yeah, number one most anticipated movie probably of the year for me so far, probably, and we're getting closer and closer and closer. So the
yeah.
Batman. Yeah, you're good. Show me something cool.
It's a little birthday gift.
Oh heck yeah, the Ultimate Guide to Batman.
Ultimate Guide to Batman.
That's awesome.
Some of
You got Adam West up there. It's awesome.
yeah. Oh yeah. Huge fan.
Yeah, I mean Batman is. I mean, before we get into that, who is your favorite superhero? Like, is it Batman?
Yeah, for me it's definitely Batman.
Okay,
Um just always been drawn to that character. I grew up watching Adam West Batman
really?
when the animated series came out. That was such a big deal for me. I mean, I have vivid memories just sitting on the floor eating dinner watching all the various Batman movies as they came out to rent on
Yeah.
VHS.
Oh
So,
yeah. I have one of my earliest memories I probably have is we had this big, tube TV entertainment system. It's a big square looking thing, and I had the VHS of the first four Batman movies, and
mhm,
not Adam West, but Michael Keaton to George Clooney, and I had them set there, and I was kind of just like looking at my mini collection here, and like I was like, man, I have them all except for Batman Returns, and I finally got to a record store, and they had
mhm.
a Batman Returns on VHS, and so I felt pretty accomplished as a kid. My first true collection, and that's only spiraled since then. But no, a huge Batman fan. It's kind of my go-to answer is Spider-Man's my favorite superhero of all time, but Spider-Man, Batman,
Mhm,
and Green Lantern, they kind of rotate depending on what I'm watching and what I'm reading.
mm,
Um, but Batman's definitely, uh, if not number one, but close second. So, a few things about the Batman's come out in the last week since we last talked. One of them is Robert Pattinson wants to tackle the Court of Owls story arc
mhm,
in a potential sequel. And, that's, of course, they're doing this press junket and they're going to say, they're going to be asked, all about their villains and about the future and all these other kind of things. And what I thought was interesting about this is that I particularly was convinced that we were going to see the
mhm.
Court of Owls in this movie. Like I
Oh,
was pretty
really?
much convinced that the Court of Owls would be the ones pulling the ultimate strings here, and the Riddler might have been trying to expose them as well as Bruce Wayne. And then Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne might have found out that the Court of Owls had their claws, so to speak, in the
Mhm,
Gotham way earlier than he thought. So
mhm.
I guess they're not in the movie. At least I don't think he would say that if they were.
It's quite, who knows? Because I've seen stories circulating that the Riddler is not the primary villain.
Sure.
So if they can keep it that much of a secret, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Um, it's also one difficult thing to look into is like, I don't know if you follow Boss Logic on social,
Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah.
but he's so tapped into this world and he's gotten hired for various projects. Like he's been promoting, a Court of Owl's image lately. So it's like,
Yeah, but
are
surely
are you just
they
doing
wouldn't
that
let
from a
him.
fan perspective or the news perspective, or are you trying to tell us something?
Yeah, he's in a weird predicament.
Yeah.
He's got to generate content and news and
Mhm,
like hype, but also he's got to
mhm.
play employee to these studios.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Robert Pattinson would have said that if they're in the movie, but
Mhm.
also everyone's got to keep in mind that this movie is 2 hours and 57 minutes long. That's a
Yeah.
long ass movie, and
Yeah.
I've watched virtually every TV spot, every trailer multiple times.
Mhm.
Even then, with all that footage combined, we've probably seen no more than 8 to 9 minutes total.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Because they've showed a lot of the same shots over and over
Mhm.
in every
Mhm.
TV spot that's come out so far. A few snippets here and there, but as we get
Mhm.
closer, that will kind of continue to grow. But that's still like 2 hours and 40 minutes that, we don't know what the fuck's being said, what's being
Yeah,
shown, what's
yeah.
happening. I mean, it's pretty secretive. And on top of that, I know there has been some screenings, some early press screenings, but nothing. No one can say really virtually anything yet. And I know
Mhm,
they're doing the early fan screening earlier in the week, next
mhm,
week, but there's still an embargo as well. Like I
mhm,
think the embargo lifts. I think tomorrow, actually, the 22nd for critics. So
mhm.
we'll see. I guess tomorrow, maybe they'll, might have to go dark on the internet for a week or so. But
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult.
yeah, but at least our next question, talking about Batman villains. Matt Reeves kind of come on and said, in an interview that he commented on Mister Freeze being potentially a grounded villain, and
Mhm.
I think that was kind of interesting because you think Mister Freeze. You have the Arnold Schwarzenegger version in Batman and Robin, which hey, I
Yeah.
still love Arnie. I love you, Arnie. You still have that version, but then you
Right.
you do kind of think about, okay, it's this guy who is kind of typically, in the way he's been written, is he's mourning over his
Mhm,
wife, right? His wife is being needs to be resuscitated back to life because of a disease she has, and there's something very grounded about that, of course. So I guess
mhm.
my question is, for you, what else do you want to see in the I call it the reverse, right? The Matt
Mhm.
Reeves verse, which that's got to catch on people. The reverse. So what villain do you want to see in this trilogy? And if do you want it to kind of go fantastical, or do you want to keep it grounded? And if so, what fantastical villain do you want to ground down?
Oh, man. You know, oof, this is interesting to I guess my potential fear is, like, I don't want him stretching this character in too many directions because if we're getting more of this core detective Batman, like, let's keep it that way. Like, how can we, if we go fantastical, is that gonna
Yeah.
take away from, like, the detective aspect? I love Mr. Freeze. I think that would be fantastic. The only thing is, like you said, he's got such a simple story. Um, Whereas, like, the Man Bat would be very cool to see.
Hmm.
That's, like, one of the first in the animated series, so I've always been drawn to that character because it's very mysterious. There's so much detective work that goes into figuring out, like, who could this be, what it is, what's going
Right.
on. Um, think, Poison Ivy. I'm also, like and I know, like, I think Robert Pattinson, shared this, but Clayface, like, I was always been a big fan of Clayface, and I think
That's
that would
my
be really
head's kind of
fun.
going, is Clayface.
Yeah.
I think part of it is Batman Arkham City. If you played that game, Clayface, they used him in an interesting way there of misdirection. That's why, and he's
Mhm,
been used that way a lot in the comics, but particularly it's a good way to use, the kind of the sleight of hand, the magician, like this character's over
mhm.
here, like a Prestige kind of situation, right, with Christian Bale and,
Right.
ironically,
Yeah.
and Hugh Jackman. I think he's an interesting one, and like, hey, part of me would love that if they can do it in an organic way now that they've established this universe, if they
Mhm,
could go in and kind of have some of these more fantastical villains, I would love it. Like, I think, of
mhm,
course, we probably need Two Face. He's one of my favorite villains of all time, cinematically. So Two Face needs to be in there because he's an easy one. He's easier to
mhm.
do in terms of being grounded. And of course, the Joker,
Yeah.
you kind of wonder if we're overstaying our hand, but it's like also you want to see every version of Batman fight their version of Joker at some point.
Right.
Like you just want to see it happen, and like, what's that version look like? But I think fantastical. I think you're right. Clayface is one that really sticks
Mhm,
out to me. I really would like to see Mister Freeze.
mhm.
I mean, Ra's al Ghul. I think that's a good one.
So, that's one, like, if I were to do Batman films, I would probably go into that because there's so much in that story that we haven't seen,
Yeah.
and,
I mean,
you
everything
know
from Talia Ghul to his son,
yeah,
which, I mean, I'm not even lukewarm on Damian Wayne. I'm like ice
sure.
cold kind of on him. Like, he's hit and miss. He's been better written in certain areas, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him.
Um, I guess last thought on what we just talked about. I would if they do Two-Face, let's just introduce him. Like, let's skip the whole creation of Two-Face.
Sure.
I think it'd be really cool just to have he's just there. It happened, like,
Oh, you mean like
I think we could
he's already split down the middle?
yeah, I think we can skip all of the story, like, I think I'm gonna get more into the character depth and, like, skip, like, the creations of them and the origins and all that. Let's just get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe they'll do that.
I hear what you're saying, and part of that fear is a retread of potentially having, you know, um, the Dark Knight being replayed over again. But
Yeah.
but there has to be other ways of doing it. I know there is. I
Hmm.
mean, like look at the Long Halloween. I mean, that's an amazing
Hmm.
comic book, and
Hmm.
um, that really showed their strength, being like a
Hmm.
friendship being grown, and there's ways of doing it that would probably feel fresh. I see the implication you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm kind of curious what happens. And in just more Batman, they're talking about potential Catwoman show. We know we're going
Hmm.
to get the Penguin show. There's also a Gotham PD
Hmm.
show being made. So it seems like the Robert Pattinson Batman verse here is fixing to explode in a big way. And part of that too, I think, is because the success of Peacemaker.
Hmm.
Like it's doing a lot of good ratings and a lot of good viewership here. And so I think it was always the plan, but it was more like validation. Like, okay, we can have these DCEU or DC multiverse shows on here, and people will show up and watch them. And I mean, of course they will. First of all, you're fucking stupid, Warner Brothers execs. If you thought otherwise. But what other shows? I mean, are you excited for a Catwoman show? I mean, I'm in for it. I mean, I'm in for all of it though.
Oh yeah, I'm on board for everything. The Catwoman could be cool. Especially with Zoe already having a relationship with HBO and in that world, like I think as long as she's committed to that character and wants to help kind of bring it on, like let's do it.
Yeah,
Because the Catwoman show could also introduce other characters. This could be the way we get Harley Quinn or
Poison
Poison
Ivy.
Ivy. Um,
God,
or
man,
yeah.
I do find it hard though, thinking like I can't imagine Poison Ivy and these other more fantastical characters
Mhm.
being in this universe now. Which, as much as I want it, I almost feel like I don't know how Reeves can do it successfully based on what he's set up. But I don't
Yeah.
know.
Especially if they're saying like this is like, Catwoman, Penguin, and Riddler before they are those entities. If this is kind of like their breaking point, like what pushes them to become these people.
Sure,
So we could easily see any of them in the second film.
yeah. I mean, here's another thing. It just dawned on me. No pun intended. Um, in the trailers, he is saying, "I'm vengeance," right? I
Right.
wonder. You said this is their breaking point for these three villain like characters. This
Hmm.
seems like also this is year two of the Batman. Do
Hmm.
they? I mean, no, I guess they do call him Batman because it's in the riddle. I was gonna say like maybe this is him becoming like the Batman persona. Maybe he's just
Hmm.
people call him Vengeance. Because I mean, in the trailer, even Penguin calls him Vengeance. Even
Yeah.
Catwoman calls him Vengeance. So I was thinking maybe it's like where he first says the lines, "I'm Batman." At the very end of the movie, like he's become Batman. I think more of the movie is about him
Yeah.
finding. Part of it is him finding that he needs to separate Bruce Wayne
Yeah.
from Batman. I think that's a big part of the arc. Don't quote me, people. I'm guessing here. I think we might have a prettier Robert Pattinson by the end of the movie, like a Playboy
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson by the end of the movie, which I think is
Maybe.
it's smart. It's a cool thing to kind of. I mean, they have always started where Batman and Bruce
Hmm.
Wayne he knew ahead of time that he needed to separate these characters, and
Sure.
I think it's a good idea. It's a cool idea that he's just so wrapped up in the Batman persona that he doesn't
Hmm.
understand that he needs to have two identities, so to speak. Um, Finally, for Batman, Michael Keaton, his stunt double, suited up on the set of Batgirl, and in these set photos that leaked, we had like a younger looking J.K. Simmons with some dyed
Hmm.
hair, and it looks like it's a little different, but it's relatively the same costume from Batman
Hmm.
Returns, the armored up version of Michael Keaton's suit, um,
Hmm.
and it was pretty cool. It was cool
Yeah.
seeing that back. It's weird that we had an announcement that he was gonna be in the Flash, and we had the trailer
Right.
of the Flash first, but then we see him in set photos for Batgirl, which it's
Hmm.
just a weird like you almost wonder why don't they just show us Michael Keaton like already like in a nice
Yeah.
highly produced photograph of his return. But it kind of begs the question here. I guess this Batman, if he's younger in the J.K. Simmons flashback, I mean, I know that we've seen some pics of Michael Keaton with like
Hmm.
a gray hair toupee kind of thing or
Hmm.
wig, I should say. And so he's older, But it's just, is it weird to you that we're going to have an old Batman in the current DCEU timeline and not have, I don't know, like, do we not want Batman in the universe, or do we just want these other Bat figure characters to be taking over the mantle? I don't know. I feel like I would. I know how I feel about it. You go first, though. I know how I feel about
uh,
it.
I haven't really thought in terms of how I feel about all of this. I'm excited. For one, I'm especially like growing up and kind of watching like Batman Beyond and that storyline and like seeing that it just made sense. So like early age, it all like I've always been rooting for this.
Yeah,
Um, if they execute it right, it's going to be incredible. I guess the fear is like it just gets. I don't know.
I don't either. I don't know how I feel about it.
It's
I had conversations over the weekend about Peacemaker, which we'll get to in a
hmm
second. But
hmm
you and I had this specific problem with it, and it's the
hmm
technology and it's the jump in the universe, and there's no
yeah.
real true escalation. And it's okay if you start out that way,
hmm
but we didn't start out that way. We started out with a man being discovered as an alien in Kansas. That's what we started out as, and the world reacting to that in a very, scared way. And then now we have redneck white supremacist supervillains making multi-dimensional technology in their basement,
hmm
and it looks totally different than anything we've seen before in the DCEU. So, which is fine if there's
hmm
precedent. And I guess that
hmm
could be explained with the fact that we're going to get, you know, the Flash movie. But I just feel like,
hmm
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I just like the MCU and all these other things. I want to see the characters in their truest, best form first, and then
Yeah.
start adding and changing things. Like I want to see the
Yeah.
Justice League that I want to see with Green Lantern, with a Batman, and with a good with a red and blue Superman suit. Like I like the
hmm
black suit, but it's not
Yeah.
Superman to me, right? And
Sure.
I want all that first, and then I want us to start deviating from the norm. Then I
hmm
want Batgirl and Nightwing and Robert or
mm
Damian Wayne Batman
Yeah.
and Batwoman and all these other things. Then I want those things. I'm not saying you
Yeah.
can't have those things first, but I do feel a sense of I want to keep to the source material to a degree, and all
hmm
these characters typically are spawned from Batman. Now it seems like obviously she's inspired by Batman based on the mural
Right.
and based on her connection with her dad and Michael
hmm
Keaton's Batman, but it feels like we haven't gotten enough time with Ben Affleck. I mean, he was in
Sure.
half a movie, right? And then he was in
Yeah.
another movie, Justice League, but we don't really know. We never knew that Batman. Like we knew him enough,
hmm
right? We knew him enough,
hmm
but we never knew that Batman, his struggles, and it's not the same. It's like all of a sudden we're watching Avengers 1, and we have Iron Man, which you get an idea who
hmm
that character is, but we didn't see Iron Man 1. We didn't see him really grow into that character. It'd be like that equivalent. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it.
If they
But
can get the story right, so much of it's going to bank on the story because if they can't build up the story right, then it just kind of like adds on to like a leadership issue. Like what are y'all doing over there? It's just
yeah,
throwing stuff and hoping that it works
I
versus
know.
building out these characters and
I
stories
know.
and
I
yeah.
mean, we'll have to go a little quick on some of these other ones because
Sure.
Batman is we do love the Batman, which I understand.
Yep.
So speaking of knight characters, we have Moon Knight, right? So Oscar Isaac says Moon Knight felt handmade, and it's the first
Mhm.
legitimate Marvel character study since Iron Man. That's debatable. Oscar Isaac,
Yeah.
and he hopes to play the character again in the MCU. I'm pretty excited for Moon Knight. I mean, this seems promising. It seems like we're going to get,
Yeah.
first of all, it's an origin story on Disney Plus, which we
Mhm.
haven't gotten yet. We have been getting these legacy characters and some extensions there. But I'm excited to see
Mhm.
this homegrown origin story, and I hope we really get to dive into who Mark Spector is. Are you excited for Moon Knight, Luke?
Oh, yes. So ready. We're
Yeah,
we're itching to get talking about this on the Agents of Mace podcast, but man, this character's so mysterious and I'm a huge Oscar Isaac fan. I loved everything he did last year. I know it'll be a while till we talk about this kind of stuff, but so ready for Metal Gear with Oscar.
oh man, no,
That's
yeah,
gonna be
definitely. right here.
Yeah.
Look at this. We have Uncharted. I got my Metal Gear thing here, everybody. If you can see that right there, the little
Oh
Metal
yeah.
Gear guy.
Anyway, but Moon Knight. So, I've not read any of the comics, but I've looked into the story around the character. So I'm excited that we get an origin story. It seems like there's a couple of arcs that he has where, his backstory is just a mercenary. So he's almost Punisher like. He's
Sure.
knows how to work with weapons, he knows how to fight, but then there's another arc where he does have more like superhuman abilities. So I'm
Yeah.
very curious to see which direction they're going to go with that.
I think it's gonna be a mix of everything. I think he has a multiple
Yeah.
personalities, right? And one of them
Yeah.
funds his operations, like his Bruce Wayne. Another one is like
Mhm.
his Alfred, that kind of gets him
Mhm.
from A to B and finds out information. Another one
Mhm.
is the badass part of it, Mark Spector, CIA guy, which is like
Yep.
the fighting part of Bruce Wayne, I guess, or the Batman version. And then there's the Khonshu Egyptian god version that gives him the superpowers, right? So
Mhm.
I think it's gonna be an amalgamation of all these different aspects of Bruce Wayne into like one fully formed character. But um,
Mhm.
I'm excited. Now, what's interesting is that they did announce that Loki season two will be helmed by the directors of Moon Knight,
Mhm.
um, which is cool because it shows that they have confidence in Moon Knight, which is always a promising thing. Or at least it feels like they
Yep.
do. And then the
Mhm.
other thing is, um, I'm glad to see more Tom Hiddleston as Loki because,
Mhm.
um, season one was it wasn't the show that I thought I was going to get or necessarily wanted, but I
Mhm.
did. I did like the implications of the show, and overall, I really enjoyed the week to week and figuring out
Mhm.
what the hell's going on. So, um, yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for
Mhm.
Loki season two.
Yep.
Okay, so kind of our main topic of the week. Again, we don't spend too much time on this because I think we both know the answer to this. And I really put this in here. Part of it is because it's a catchy title, but the other part of it is when these things get said, and Kevin Feige, me and Daniel talk about this on the podcast.
Mhm.
Um, Subscribe to our podcast, Podcast Super One. Daniel talk about this, and we talk about that Kevin Feige could literally like wake up one day and be like, I'm going to drop a nugget that I've had for 7 months to 2 years. I'm going to blow up the internet. Like Disney cannot, no one, I don't, Disney, no one can replicate the kind of marketing that this man can make
Mhm.
with a single
Yep.
tweet or a single phone call. And one of the things he said was Marvel Studios and the Marvel Cinematic Universe is now past their 10th anniversary. And with the release of the final Avengers movie, we've finally completed a 22 movie Infinity Saga. And he said this during the Eternals behind the scenes, making like assembled on Disney Plus kind of thing. Um, and people were like, "Oh my God, is Endgame the final Avengers movie?" Before you start, Luke, I want to say this: fuck no, it's not the final Avengers movie, people. Like it's not. Like it's first of all, it's the most lucrative. If you just take the Avengers line out of the MCU and not even look at the MCU as a whole, those Avengers movie collectively is like the most lucrative franchise ever in cinematic history, right? It's a big deal, and I mean, and then first of all, we have to look at the evidence, and the second thing is like they're not going to not make these movies until way past we're all dead and gone. It's just going to happen forever, which is sad because I
Mhm.
want to see it all. Which is the sad part. I get met with my own mortality with these kind of questions, but it's not gonna end, people. And he's saying that he can't just come off. And also, this was shot a year ago, probably this
Mhm.
behind the scenes things. He can't come off Avengers Endgame and be like, oh yeah, we have 5 more Avengers movies coming out. No, he can't do that. He's got to Endgame's got to have a finality to it, right? It's got to feel like
Mhm.
that we come to a head or a climax or a culmination point, and it's going to feel like this could be the end. And then they got to sit there and bring up all these characters like Shang-Chi, the Eternals,
Mhm.
um, you
Mhm.
know, uh, Blade, Moon Knight, all these other characters, and they got to bring them up, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and bring them up into the next Avengers movie. And he just not going to come out here and just start, because then nobody will be talking about Doctor Strange 2 and Spider-Man 3 if
Mhm.
they know Avengers is on the way. They got to build up to stuff just like they did in Phase 1. Like we know that.
Yeah.
And I mean, they even said, look, like the marketing for Shang-Chi, meet your newest Avenger. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
not, it's common sense. Luke, are these
Yeah.
just like are people extrapolating this? I mean, I know he says a final Avengers movie, but I think he meant the last one we did, not that it's the final Avengers movie.
No, no, no. It's there's yeah, look, fans have already found the characters. They already know the direction they're going. We're going to get the West Coast Avengers. We're going to
Yeah,
get the Young Avengers. They're all Avengers.
yeah.
Avengers are it's more than what we've seen. There are tons of Avengers. We will get plenty of more Avenger movies.
Now, do you think we'll
Um
get like a new Avengers or a West Coast Avengers before we get just Avengers?
it's possible. I mean, I guess the question is, if you look at so like this is like I guess the big question mark is like, what ultimate bad guy could we be really seeing next? Because we're not really sure like what's going to happen in Doctor Strange 2, if we'll get Mephisto or if it's anyone else. We know Kang is around and Kang is coming. Is Kang powerful enough to need all of the Avengers to fight him?
I
I
think
don't
so.
know.
I think so.
Possibly. I could see there being another Avengers movie to battle Kang.
Sure.
Um, a lot of it's just going to be what's going to happen in the next Ant-Man, because we still got to bring in our new Captain America. Like he's going to have to get the team, and
Yeah, you're right. No, I mean, we
you
still,
know,
yeah, we have so many more movies on the horizon
is there
before.
still is there
Yeah,
still lingering beef between the core Avengers, right? Is there still the trust issues, right? Like Tony wanted one way, Steve wanted one way. Can they forget about that and work together to go save the world?
yeah. I mean, I think at this point, I mean, well, I'll ask you this: who do you think was right, Steve or Tony?
Oh man. See, now I gotta go back and watch Civil. Uh,
I mean, it's pretty simple. Steve wanted
yeah,
to have government regulation, right? At least be like,
right.
and then Tony or not Steve, sorry, Tony wanted that, and Steve wanted to. He wanted the freedom to go where he wanted
Yeah.
to go to save people, regardless of barriers.
Hmm.
It's complicated. It's a complicated
Yeah.
issue. I think. I mean, the ultimate answer is it's somewhere in between, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
I do definitely lean more towards Steve, at least in this universe. I'm not sure it's the thing I'd want in my universe, but I think it's the thing that
Right.
I want in
Yeah.
that
I kind of
universe.
feel like I'd probably go with Steve as well.
Yeah. Well, a perfect example
Yeah.
is what if Thanos is attacking Wakanda, and the
Hmm.
Avengers legally can't go fight and help Wakanda to stop Thanos.
Hmm.
That's a good example, But
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, it's not the last Avengers movie, people. Sorry, I clickbaited you with the title for today. It's not the last Avengers movie. Get over it. We have a lot more to go. We even have potential a Dark Avengers movie
True.
um,
Yeah.
with a
Forgot about that.
Walker as U.S. agent and
Hmm.
Louis.
Hmm.
What's her name? Louis Dreyfus. I always
Hmm.
get her whole name
Julie.
wrong. Julia Louis Dreyfus. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
or Julia Louis Dreyfus. I can't think of her name.
Yeah.
Elaine from Seinfeld. People, Jesus.
Right.
Okay, so she's making something, right? We know that at least. Well, I don't know. We thought Yelena was working for her, but now I don't know. I think they kind of fucked up the continuity in
Yeah.
Hawkeye. Don't really know what's happening there. But that, and
Uh.
then we know
Yeah.
Walker. Yeah,
Young.
what do you think, man?
I feel like what we're gonna get there is Young Avengers versus Dark Avengers,
Huh.
and
We
I
got to get some
think
younger Avengers first, I guess.
yeah. Well, we already know that they're building him up. We've already seen. I think part of what we potentially could see in Dark Strange too. I think a lot of Wanda's goal is going to be get her children back because I believe her children are part of the Young Avengers.
Yeah.
So will
Well,
they
I
come back
think.
and be a big part of that,
Yeah. Will they be good? I mean, or not? I mean,
or will they? Yeah,
not even them. I think will she be good? And also, that's the moral
yeah.
question. Are these even her children at this point?
Mhm.
So that's yeah. Who knows at that point? But then we have Riri Williams coming back or coming in as Iron um, Ironheart, and then we have Kate
Mhm.
Bishop as the new
Mhm.
Hawkeye potentially, and then we have you're right these two Wanda things babies, and then we have
Miss
also
Marvel.
yeah who knows, and then there's also potential America Chavez from Doctor Strange. And
Yeah,
then also Miss Marvel from Captain
yeah.
Marvel in her own TV show. So yeah, but there is a few people coming up the ranks here.
Hmm.
But I don't know if I just don't like kids superheroes. I just don't like it. It's lame
Yeah.
to me. I want like adults fighting adults, man. Okay, so Peacemaker. Later on this week, I believe there will be a Peacemaker devoted episode for Podcast 2 for 1. Again, Podcast 2 for 1, youtube.com/2for1studios, all your place for all your 2 for 1 needs. You can find our podcast there. You can go to iTunes, Spotify, every place you can think of for a podcast, and you can subscribe, listen to your podcast in the comfort of your own house or car. So, Peacemaker. Um, let's talk about these Justice League cameos. Spoilers, people. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm sorry. You shouldn't be clicking on this kind of stuff anyway. Justice League cameos, Luke. There's no Gal Gadot or Henry Cavill. Which,
Why?
yeah, I mean,
Why did
like,
they not join? They should have.
yeah, I mean, it seems like Gunn said that on the matter. Let's talk about this. He says, I don't think, in regards to, did you think about having them on set? I don't really think so. I really thought it was going to be just Jason Momoa and Ezra,
Mhm,
who was more like the extra because I found out he was interested in doing it, right? So,
mhm,
of course, this little last tease here is in the show has blown up the internet for good reason. And you look
mhm,
at the silhouettes, you absolutely know that's Henry Cavill's Superman, and you know that's
mhm,
Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. And I get why they didn't have them. I mean, it's a TV show on HBO Max, and this does not have the same kind of budget as even the Suicide Squad or any of these other big movies. I get
mhm,
that, but I can't not believe that Warner Brothers would not contact. I don't think that
mhm.
Henry Cavill would say no if they asked him to do it.
Yeah,
And it just feels like there's this big. I feel like they just keep fucking him over. Like
yeah,
I don't know. Like it's the relationship is so weird there, and I don't
yeah.
know why. And I mean,
Mhm,
because Cavill has said multiple times the cape is still in the closet,
mhm.
and it's weird, man. Like it feels like they shouldn't even have been there if they couldn't have got him. I mean, like I'm still cool they were there, but I'm saying like
Yeah,
it's weird because of the knowledge we have behind the scenes. That's what makes it weird.
mhm. Right,
And
right.
I don't know, man. What's your thoughts on it?
Now I'm thinking of like this. If I was Henry Cavill looking at this from like a long-term business decision, it almost feels like he's got a tighter relationship with Netflix with everything he's doing over
Oh,
there.
definitely, yeah.
And I mean, can he balance like what is it a numbers game? I guess it's a numbers game. It's gotta be like, is it gonna come down to like who do I want to work with? Who's gonna offer me more? Who's the better relationship? Can he split his time between both Netflix and HBO? Um, I
I don't know.
I just feel like it's disrespectful from like they should have reached out to him. I'm
Yeah,
curious if they reached out to Gal. Is Gal because she had a baby recently, or was that a while ago? I thought
I think it
I don't
was
know.
during or after Wonder Woman 84. Um,
Yeah.
but
So
I
she
do know. I mean,
should be.
she's still contracted, and she has agreed and been
Yeah.
announced to do Wonder Woman 3 with Patty Jenkins.
Right.
Um, I don't know, man. And we're getting. I mean, we're
I don't know.
getting Supergirl, and here's another thing too. It's like everyone's pretty tight-lipped to what we're going to see in the Flash. I
Mhm.
don't think we're going to see Henry Cavill in the Flash. I think we absolutely should see him. I don't think we will see him. Um, and if I don't know, it's weird, man. It's weird.
Yeah. I know.
And also, it seems
Mhm.
like to me that Peacemaker is in the universe after the Flash. That's my impression I get.
Hmm.
Well, no, I guess not because if Ben Affleck's Batman's there, then he's not.
Mhm.
No, well, he wasn't
Mhm.
there. That's the whole point. So here's the other thing. James Gunn also said, in regards to Cyborg and Batman's inclusion, we all know why Cyborg wasn't in there, first of all. Um, but he says, I don't know what I can. There are reasons for it, but I'm actually uncertain whether I can say what those reasons are in regards to them being gone. It might have to do with future stuff down the road. Now we do know that the stunt double apparently Batman was there. Like he filmed a thing. The stunt like a stunt double in regards to like
Mhm.
Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot's also. He was wearing the Snyder cut, I guess both
Mhm.
cuts, Justice League Batman suit at the very end of that movie. And so, but they cut him from the shot, so they cut
Mhm.
him, which is interesting. So you wonder why they did that. And then I don't know. And then of course that guy also said that there's also a cyborg supposed to be there too, and we cut that cyborg as well. And like Warner Brothers will not have anything to do with Ray Fisher, like they just won't,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's Black History Month, and they said,
Mhm.
hey, celebrate your favorite DC EU Black characters. and they had like Deathstroke,
Mhm.
Bloodsport, and I think or not Zatanna, but Black Canary from Birds of Prey. And
Mhm.
it was like, who's your favorite? They didn't even talk about Cyborg, and
Mm.
he's kind of, in my opinion, the only black superhero that's
Mhm.
like the most prominent one, I should say, that's been
Yeah.
revealed so far in that universe,
Right.
especially with his role in the Snyder Cut. Um, so they're just doing everything they can to stay away. And I get it. I mean, even with that, he commented on that as well, that tweet. But they're doing everything they can to stay away from him. And I was surprised to even find out that they even had a cyborg stand in on the
Mhm.
Peacemaker set. But I don't know, man. I think part of this is like all these things are still kind of coming out, and we don't know answers from the Flash. We
Mhm.
Batgirl's happening. We don't know, we don't know what the state of this universe is, and they're already making movies without it being tested, like without us being
Mm.
okay with these things. So real quick, I'm gonna look up when the Flash comes out. Um,
Sure.
yeah,
Like,
so the Flash
you
release, yeah.
know, what else could have, they could have had, what if they would have introduced, like, Green Lantern or brought in, um, Martian?
Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, that right there is also a byproduct of the Snyder Cut, right? And it seems like they're
Right.
ignoring that.
Mhm.
But Barry, here's what's weird. So Batman's not there, right? Nor is
Right.
Cyborg, Cyborg. So you know that. So there's two things we think. Okay, so this has to be after the Flash because Ben Affleck's Batman is not there, but Barry is wearing his suit from Justice League slash Snyder Cut. It's not
Mhm.
the Flash
Mhm.
suit. So theoretically, it takes place before the Flash, right?
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
I'm thinking about this in real time, by the way, so bear with me if I'm getting things wrong. And then also Aquaman, which we do know he gets a new stealth suit in the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. He's wearing his
Mhm.
king suit, right, in the Stinger
Right.
here. So I don't know. Okay, it feels like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Ben Affleck Batman still could be out there in terms of
Mhm.
continuity reasons. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird,
Mm.
man. November 4th. November 4th, 2022. That's when The Flash comes out. So we have that long, almost a year,
Mm.
to wait for answers. And then I feel like Batgirl, I know it's shooting right now, but I feel like
Mhm.
it's coming out this year on HBO Max as well. So it comes out, it says HBO Max in 2022. You're telling me we're going to get Michael Keaton Batman in a Batgirl HBO Max movie before we get The Flash? I mean, surely, maybe it's the fall time. Maybe it's after November. Um,
Yeah.
but that's pretty close. I mean, that's
Maybe
pretty close.
maybe what if Batgirl's like Christmas?
I mean, I'm kind of thinking that's a high possibility now. I could see that being like their winter Christmas kind of
Yeah.
content.
Special.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
feel like now you've convinced me. That's kind of what we're going with that. So I mean, when does Aquaman come out here? Aquaman comes out in what comes out December 16th, 2022. So that's their Christmas thing. So maybe I don't know what the fuck Warner Brothers is doing. Who knows what they're doing?
I don't
Okay,
know.
who knows? Okay, so Ryan Reynolds denies Doctor Strange 2 involvement as, of course, Deadpool, right? There was that image that kind of not leaked, but on the poster, everyone's like,
Yeah.
"That's Deadpool." I can kind of
Yeah.
see it a little bit, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
him. But I can see it. So over under Luke, is he in the movie? And also, I mean, there's also even things when Patrick Stewart saying, of course, we all know that's fucking Professor X, Patrick Stewart. He's like, that's someone's, I can't help people
Yeah, I saw
imitating
that.
my voice, which is cute. It's fine. Patrick Stewart, play the game with us. We're fine with that. But Ryan Reynolds,
Right.
I feel like he's in this movie, and
I
even based
feel
on his review or his little response he had.
Yeah, I feel like he's in it. I mean, this is
How do you not? At this point,
this just goes back into the whole, like, Toby and Andrew thing, like, it's gonna
I
happen
know.
for a while, like, they can't say yes, they can't say no, they just have to be creative and try to tiptoe around it the best they can.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the fun of it too, right, guys? I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about it on this show here, and I hope he is in it. I can see a world where Doctor Strange at least crashes into a
Mhm,
universe, and he's like, "What the fuck?" or "What the shit?" or something like that, right? And then Doctor Strange is pulled back out, or he's an after credit scene, like now he's in the MCU because of the shenanigans that Doctor Strange has done,
mhm.
right? So I can see something happening here. I think he's in it. I
Oh,
think he's a good 80% chance he's in this movie. I think it's
yeah.
pretty high chance here.
See, Could it be like something in the end where they're trying to fix all of this mess and that's just when we kind of get glimpses of all these people? Is it just gonna be like that quick, you know?
It's possible. I don't.
I
I
just
feel like if they're
want
going to have these cameos, I feel like they're going to at least be deliberate enough to
yeah,
be satisfying, and satisfaction could be like a funny, quick, and I saw it,
yeah,
and I think that really works for Deadpool. Like, oh, like
mhm,
even more so than the Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock thing we had in No Way
right,
Home. That was an actual little scene there, and it's one of those things that it didn't
mhm,
detract from the movie. It didn't really stand out,
mhm,
but it definitely got people talking who didn't know who he was. And for us fanboys, was like, "Fuck, he's in the movie. He's in the
yeah,
universe now." Deadpool, everybody knows who Deadpool is just because of his costume, and when he can show
sure.
up for literally 2 seconds, which may be all he will show up for,
I
and
was gonna say,
that's enough because his
he
character
shows up,
works for that.
maybe he shows up the same time as Wolverines and they just kinda lock eyes and then
I would love. Yeah. Do you
disappear.
think Hugh Jackman's in this
Which
movie? By the way, I mean, what
well,
do you
I
think?
saw, I wish I saw I could share the post, I gotta go find it again. I saw something that was saying, like, Wolverine to be in it, but it's not Hugh Jackman. Who could it be?
Interesting.
Who could be, who could they cast to play Wolverine?
Well,
And
if they
is this gonna be their introduction into X-Men? Is this how they're gonna bring in, like, "Here's your new Wolverine"?
well, I got
I
two
don't know.
things there. One, Hugh Jackman said he would
Mhm.
love to be a part of the Avengers. He said that
Yeah.
out loud, and Ryan Reynolds definitely has been pestering this man off camera, and like in not in the fun
Yeah.
public way we have, but like in a genuine way. Like, hey, I'd like you to suit back up. And Hugh
Mhm.
Jackman has all of the reason and rhyme in the world to say, no, I did what I could with that character and I went out on a high
Yeah.
note. But if
Yeah.
one man could bring these people together, it's Kevin fucking Feige. And Patrick Stewart is coming back. And if Patrick Stewart's coming back, you bet your ass Hugh Jackman's thinking, if that boy's coming back, maybe I could come back too for at least a Secret War situation, like an Old
Yeah.
Man Logan Secret War
Yeah.
situation. So I think it's going to happen, guys. We're going to have Robert Downey Jr., Tobey Maguire, and we're going to have Hugh Jackman all on the same screen at some point.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, my head's going to explode in the theater, and the attendees are going to have to wipe off my brains off the curtain. So it's going to be awesome for everybody involved.
Uh,
So I'm
at
excited
this
for it.
yeah, man, at this stage with especially people that have had the privilege to play these characters, screw the money. You don't need the money. You're good. Just do it because you love it.
Yeah,
'Cause you
yeah,
love the
yeah,
craft and you love the fans. Like,
yeah, exactly. And hey, I get it. Like coming from someone who struggles with, working out consistently and eating healthy consistently and all those things that come with that, just keeping your body in that kind of shape at that age is insanely hard. And it takes not only a physical strain, it takes an emotional strain too. And
mhm,
so I can see the implication of like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore because it's hard to do it. But I also think he can have some leeway. He doesn't have to be jacked anymore. There can be another Wolverine who's jacked and
mhm,
younger and stronger. He can be that older Wolverine now, like he was in
yeah,
Logan, but be there,
mhm,
like you said, for the fans and for the fun
mhm,
moments. I want to see Ant Man. I want to see him throw the Hulk, and I want to see the Hulk throw Wolverine from that throw. I want a double
oh, yeah,
fastball special throwing Wolverine. That's what I want. It'd be the
that'd be
fastest
cool.
fastball ever. I want. That's what I want. That's a cool. That was supposed to be like a thing. Apparently, an animatic that was
Mm,
leaked or shared, where
mm,
I think theoretically it was Giant Man throwing the Hulk, and the Hulk threw Spider Man right with the
mhm,
gauntlet at the time to kind of get him across the map, so to speak. And
mm,
they shelved it. And the reason they shelved it is because they were like, hey, we might get Wolverine someday, and we need to keep him for that moment. Because that's a cool fucking idea. That's one of those things when I
yeah,
read stuff like that or I see certain things like that in the MCU, I'm like, you know what? I couldn't have thought better, which is the
mhm,
highest compliment I can think of because I've read all the comics. I've lived and breathed this stuff for years. And if something that wows me, I'm like, man, that's a good fucking idea. I'm like, good job, guys. Good job. I want to see it. Okay, it can't be a week at Two for One Joe or any Two for One situation where another director comes out and says something like this. There used to be studio films. Now there are Marvel pictures. And what is a Marvel picture? A Marvel picture is one prototype movie that is made over and over and over and over and over again to look different. Um, that was Francis Ford Coppola. which I didn't know he was still
Mhm.
alive. Sadly, I thought he was dead. Honestly, I won't lie to you. I thought he was like he's alive. He's commenting on Marvel movies. And then he went on to say stuff like he includes Dune and No Time to Die into the Marvel lot. I can maybe understand No Time to Die, which I would still be like, what? But Dune? You're saying Dune is like a Marvel movie? Like, did you watch Dune, Francis Ford
Mhm.
Coppola? I included this just so I could say, why are we still talking about this? I don't know, Luke.
Mhm.
What do you think?
I get it, and it goes back down to, I mean, like, I still see this just like, everyday people complaining, like, oh, they don't make movies like they used to, or like, why can't I find anything like I like? And I'm like, they're still out there. You just have to go support them. Like, you got
True.
to get out of the house and go to the movie theater. Perfect example is The Cursed. It was an original horror film, very well done. If you look at that compared to the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's light years better. If you want more of
I haven't
that, you
seen
just
either.
gotta go support it.
Did you watch Texas Chainsaw over the weekend?
Yeah, it's gonna be one of the movies that I'll talk about.
Really? Is it? I
Yeah.
think I read somewhere it's like jumped up pretty high on the charts for Netflix, right? Right? It's like top 10
Oh,
or something.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure it's, like, in the top.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, when I saw the trailer and I saw I guess they're on the bus or the metro or something, and they all had their
Yeah.
phones out and Leatherface in there. I was like, I mean, there was something kind of silly and just it was
Mhm,
so silly. It was kind of great, and I was like, man, I'm not a huge Leatherface guy. I never have been. I think I've seen
mhm,
one of the movies. I think it was the Michael Bay produced
mhm,
remake,
mhm,
2002 or four or something. And Yeah, I don't know. I have no connection to that franchise, but no, you're right. I think supporting those movies and also, I mean, just kind of the nature of the business here, you're going to get blockbusters in the theaters
mhm,
because they're the big movies and they get the highest turnout because they're classical Hollywood movies, right? General audiences can follow them, they can
mhm,
digest them easily, and they become pop culture
mhm,
like tent poles in our time, right? And you're going to get other stuff. You're going to, hey, we've been in the golden age of television for about 7, 8 years now, in my opinion. So I don't know when that age will end, but I know it's indefinite now, I guess. But you're going to have those other kind of movies on these streaming services, and so that's kind
mhm.
of where it's going to happen. And filmmakers like Francis Ford Coppola, they're not going to be able to make. They're not going to be able to do it in theaters. There's no way you can make a movie for 150 million dollars like The Irishman. I think it was like 190 or something crazy
Yeah.
for that kind of movie. And there's no way it's going to make its money back in theaters. Like you're going to have to sell it to
Yeah.
Netflix to kind of have
Mhm,
those Oscar rights, right? Like the ability
mhm,
to be like, hey, we made an Oscar kind of movie, and we're a legitimate streaming service because of that. So that's just the nature of the game. And I'm coming up from somebody who hasn't made either type of film that's released to an
mhm,
audience, and I lean towards the Marvel stuff as my go-to kind of watch. Um, so I understand where they're coming from, but also I don't I don't know. I feel like it's almost cool to hit on Marvel and all these people. You hate us, you hate us because you ain't us kind of thing. And it's kind
Yeah,
of just
yeah.
like it's kind of sad. It's sad in a way that it's just getting repetitive. Like I'm tired of talking about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, like I don't have a huge Fallout connection here. I just thought this was interesting. I know this is mainly for Daniel, and Daniel decided not to be here today. And Fallout cast its lead role with Walter Goggins, who I love. I love Walter Goggins. And it's created. The show's created by Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan, who are married, and they also have done Westworld for. I think it's HBO. Is it HBO? HBO, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
HBO,
yeah.
yeah. And so I had the pleasure of I've seen them twice actually in person talk about Westworld and talk about all these other things,
Mhm,
and they're just cool to talk. They're cool to listen to in general, and I'm pretty excited for the idea of a Fallout show with Walter Goggins, who I love, and with these creators. But I personally I've never. I mean, I think I've played the first 5 minutes of Fallout 3.
mm,
I can't get in those kind of games because they're too big and too long. But
mm.
it's pretty exciting. I mean, I don't know much about it, but do you like this
Yeah.
team here we're assembling?
Oh, yeah, huge fan of Westworld. I remember seeing this news end of day yesterday, so I'm also a Walter Goggins fan. So I've seen some friends play Fallout, so,
Yeah.
that's kind of like my only engagement with that game. I've never played it. This is one of those, like, which it may be, is it $20 now? I don't know. Wait till
I
it gets to,
mean,
like, the $20 bin and pick it up,
I
and
mean, they're
play.
all on. all on Game Pass because
Mm,
Xbox
yeah,
bought Bethesda.
that's
So
right. That's right.
yeah, yeah, for a good chunk of change. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. It's not nothing super crazy here. I know we have one more here. So No Way Home digital release was pushed back, potentially pushed back. I think now I pre-ordered the um, um, Blu-ray, the Steelbook Blu-ray from Best Buy.
Hmm.
A couple like right when it was available to do that. I know it was possible that it was pushed back, and I think you put that there, Luke, because there's an idea going on that there might be a re-release of No Way Home, right? With
There's
some
a
extra
couple of things.
footage.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. I've seen the re-release, that they're saying the article I saw was like there is a re-release and they're planning to do theater for it, but I don't know the accuracy of that. But I've been itching to like I'm ready to own this one. And I knew it was supposed to come out at the very end of this month, but now they're saying it could be March now. I don't really know the reasonings behind why it would get pushed back, but unless it's just a shipment issue or
See, I was always under the impression that it was coming out April 19th, just based off. I'm a huge Blu-ray guy, so
okay.
based on all
And
this stuff,
maybe
this
this was, like, just the digital release because, I
gotcha,
was on the fence
gotcha.
if I just wanted to go ahead and get it through, like, Apple TV and, then wait
Dude,
for the
buy the physical release. One day, all this shit's gonna turn off, and you're not gonna be able to watch it anymore. You're gonna
No, I'll
thank me,
get
Luke.
yeah, I will get I'll get it for sure.
I had this pre-ordered,
Actually
which it seems like a cool still book, but also it's some of the design elements on this thing is just not great. Like let Letro being placed where he is. Yeah, hell yeah. There you go. Where's your slipcover though? That's my question. You buy it
yeah,
with
I
no
think it's
slipcover?
well, this is a
Jesus.
birthday gift, so
Okay, well I can't crap on it too much, I guess. Sorry, Luke. Yeah, I get that. I get that Blu-ray game. It's a constant a challenge. But no, uh, Sony's been kind of doing this. They did it with
Mhm,
Venom, Let There Be Carnage. They kind of re-released it again to kind of get, I guess, I don't know why, but just to get a few
mm,
extra dollars, I guess. There was no extra footage for that one. Marvel did this with Avengers Endgame to kind of get it over that Avatar #1 box office hump, and they had
yeah,
literally like a thank you to Stan at the end, and they also had like an unfinished scene that had Hulk in it, Smart
mhm,
Hulk, and
mhm,
I mean it was not good at all, and it was
mm,
kind of like there's probably 40 minutes of footage out there that they did not
mhm,
use for because it's just such a big thing. They had to cut so much stuff,
yeah,
and they used that scene. And like, I mean, I was gonna go anyway, but I was like, this is another excuse for me to go. This is my fifth time watching it in theaters. Was that re-release? And
mm,
I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm down for more footage for No Way Home, and I might go see it again if they do it.
mhm,
But
mhm,
I'm also I'm not a huge fan of this. I mean, I'm like kind of indifferent about it, but I'm like,
mhm,
let's just let it have its run, re-release it again 10, 15 years now when you're doing some marathon thing. Like, don't try to keep nip at the box office, people. Like, I get it,
yeah.
but let's just, who cares, you know?
It's like yeah. Why would it this or could that be another way to try to get people onto Disney? Well, again, it's Spider-Man, so where's it's gonna release what stars?
Well, it's going to release in,
Like,
yeah, you're right, stars. Yeah, I was
it'll be
thinking the Disney
stars.
Plus stars,
No, not
but the actual
no, it'll be,
stars.
it'll actually be
Yeah,
stars, so, like,
yeah.
they could
I forgot.
release, like, stars I don't have stars, so, like, they could push
Who
to get
does?
more subscribers, like, "Hey, if you wanna see all this bonus footage, you gotta subscribe to stars because 'cause it'll only show here." Who knows what they'll do?
I'm tired of looking at my bank account and I'm like, Peacock, 6.99. I have Peacock. I'm tired of that scenario happening.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
I I always do the annual ones because I think you save, like, a little bit, but it's gonna be weird, like, next year when I'm like, "Do I still need this?" Like
man, if I did that, there'd be a hard month for me. I would have like a $400, I think, gone from
yeah,
streaming services. I think I need it needs to happen like under my nose, silently. Like I don't need to know it's happening. I think that's
yeah,
the best decision for me. So final thing here, of course, we're going to talk about the Blu-ray releases for tomorrow, February 22nd. Tomorrow, new on Blu-ray 4K. We have The King's Man starring Ralph Fiennes, right? If you haven't seen it, if you're a fan of the franchise, go watch it. It's got some problems, but I did enjoy it, especially the
mm,
last. act of the movie I really enjoyed. And of course, American Underdog is also coming out tomorrow, new on 4K. And we have quite a few 4K re-releases. We have Alligator, The Green Mile, Escape from LA, The Hurt Locker, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and lastly, Dead Heat. Some good re-releases for 4K stuff. And again, The Kingsman is probably the big one you're looking for tomorrow. It's already out, I think, on Hulu and HBO Max
Mhm.
already,
Yeah.
which is
Came out
it's yeah, really
a
weird,
lot of stuff
really
came out
interesting.
this weekend. I haven't seen that one. Actually, I never finished the second movie.
Really?
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I wasn't really
It's
into
got
it. I'm pretty
problems
s
too.
Yeah, it had some problems.
The first
So it was
one
like
I think is like it was my top five of that year,
oh,
and I think it's an
yeah,
amazing movie. The second one
yeah,
I still enjoy, but it's got
mhm,
some narrative issues that
yeah,
I would love to break. I would love to. I've already figured them all out, but I'd love to have a podcast where we break down the
mm,
script of that one because it's got some weird choices and stuff. I think it ultimately hurts it. The Kingsman's also in that same boat,
mm,
more so
gotcha.
probably, but the ending and how it wraps up is really fun. I just wish
Hmm,
that the fun started 2 hours
early, yeah,
beforehand.
yeah, gotcha.
But no,
I may
that's all
still
we
check it
have.
out this week.
Yeah, that's all we have this week, guys, for Two for One Joe. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. That way, you're up to date on all future episodes of Two for One Joe live at 9 a.m. on Mondays. And of course, podcast Two for One and all the cool content we have at Two for One Studios. And if you can't go there, always go to youtube.com/, Two for One Studios to find everything. And of course, twofor1studios.com for all your Two for One content. Guys, thank you so much. Luke, I really appreciate you being on here. I hope you're on here
Yeah,
every week. You're on here, you're invited every week, of course, and um, talk more movie news. It's always a fun thing to kind of go through this. Again, the podcast will be more dedicated to reviews and breakdowns. And I think this will be a good place to kind of explore all the nerdy news you need to know about, sort of thing, if you want to quote kind of funny games. So, anyway, Luke, how can our listeners or watchers, how can they support you and your stuff you do?
yeah. YouTube.com/Luke Irvin. We'll get more videos out this week, so trying to get back in the normal schedule. And then Agents of Mace podcast. We've been going strong with that. We're currently revisiting WandaVision to get ready for Doctor Strange 2.
Awesome. I'm excited for Doctor Strange 2. I'm excited for all the things Marvel. And if you can't leave a comment in the comment section below, you can always go to bit.ly/two for one mail. There you can leave a comment. And if it's either we can read it on the podcast or we can read it on the show, depending on where you want. You can put in the headline where what you're responding to, where you want us to read it, and where you're watching, and we'll make sure we get it there. But anyway, Luke, I appreciate your time. I'll see you
Yep,
hopefully next week. And yeah, we'll do it next time.
sounds great.